will be recorded. So if you would like to watch it later or share the content with your friends, please do visit stockbridgelibrary.org, which is our website. And there's a little button to click on in case you missed it. And the recordings of all of our poetry readings are there on our YouTube channel. So my name is Wendy Pearson, and I am the director of the Stockbridge Library Museum and Archives. And I'm very delighted to present our second season of online poetry. And as many of you may know, John Gillespie is the former president of our board. He did move out of Stockbridge, but he is still a great friend to the library and a great friend of poets across the country. John has been instrumental in creating this program and being the driving force behind the way it adapts to our current time. So John, so grateful to have you, and also very grateful to have Angela Dribben with us today. And just a few words about her, and then I'll turn the program over to John and to Angie. Angie Dribben's debut collection, Every Girl, was a finalist for the 2020 Broadkill Review Dogfish Head Prize. And she is a contributing reviews editor at Cider Press Review, a Breadloaf contributor, and a recent MFA grad from Randolph College. Angie's most recent work can be found in Orion, Coffin Bell, Split Rock Review, The Night Heron Barks, Cave Wall, Eco Theo, Big City Lit, as well as some other publications. She is the regional VP for the Poetry Society of Virginia. And on top of all of that, she leads an adult mixed genre creative writing group. Angie, thank you so much for joining us. And John, thank you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, Wendy's moving her home in the next 15 minutes, so she's gonna sign off. Perry, great to see you. Happy New Year. You know, for people,
Nice
I know
too.
Susanna's, Susanna's been here before, so this is really a labor of love. This is my weekly time to recharge into the poetry wall. So, you know, like charging your phone at night, I'm suggesting that find the poetry wall and just plug in. And so this is my opportunity every week to do that. The other thing, and I'm going to put it in the chat, is that if you wanted to be on our list to be notified of the weekly poetry programs, we're not going to, you know, solicit you to buy a crate of oranges from Florida or something. You could be on the list, and you'll just be part of the weekly email that says, and what's great is here's last week and here's the recording, here's who's coming up this week. So if you want to do that, I'll put my once Angela starts, I'll put my email into the chat. So, Angela, season 2,
Yay!
Yeah. So we call it the Refuge of Witnessing, and it really has taken all sorts of directions with the poets we've had so far. But I think, and maybe COVID has amplified it. You know, where do you find, you know, refuge, Angela, you know, kind of in this current time for you?
Okay. Well, okay. So complicated answer, but real quick, in case I can get Wendy's attention, or John, in case you can do it, if you'll enable screen sharing for me, I might. Okay. But I'm going to take a turn, John. First, I want to thank you, because I think that people like you are part of where I find refuge in this time of poetry, because I do believe this is a labor of love for you, and I'm really grateful for it. And I think part of what happens is this. This is what I was thinking about. Okay, so I've shared this. I hope you can see it. A flow chart of what is happening in my mind.
I love it. I'm the
Because I
math guy. I
think-
love it. I love this.
Because I was like, how am I going to explain this? But to me, refuge is in the experience of the collaborative witnessing through artistic mediums and the viewer or the reader. So I thought if I shared this, then you might could see what I mean when I say that. And I feel like through this, when I'm talking, when I'm saying poet, I also mean artist. And when I say reader, I also mean viewer or teacher, anyone that is mirroring back to you. And so I'm not sure that I'm really answering your question, but I am sharing where I think the refuge is found in the witnessing of poetry. And if I can keep going on that a little bit, John. Okay. So, witness has a lot of different definitions. And so I wanted to pick one, and I chose it as a verb, and I chose Merriam-Webster's definition of it to testify, to attest, meaning to show, prove, or state that something is real. And that's what I think happens between the poet or artist and the reader, viewer, and teacher, is that you get this shared reality. And I'll stop sharing for a minute so that it's not too distracting. And I thought it's because of the willingness to participate on the side of the viewer or the reader. And it's the willingness of the artist or the poet to be vulnerable and be seen and to articulate and name. And I even thought, so I watched Julie Danho's discussion about this, and she talked about experiencing refuge in art museums. In other words, that she felt safe or sheltered from pursuit or danger or trouble in art museums. And I was thinking about how I feel sheltered or safe when I read a poem or when I share a poem. And I thought about this poem by Lucille Clifton, and I thought how relevant it is to right now and everything that we've been experiencing over the last few years. This poem is Grief. And I wanted to read it because it is, I think, an example of a shared reality. That's okay? I know that's okay with you, John. I won't even ask. So, Grief by Lucille Clifton. Begin with the pain of the grass that bore the weight of Adam, his broken rib mending into Eve. Imagine the original bleeding, Adam moaning in the lamentation of grass. From that garden, through fields of lost and found, to now, to here, to grief for the upright animal, to grief for the horizontal world. Pause then for the human animal and its coat of many colors. Pause for the myth of America. Pause for the myth of America. And pause for the girl with 12 fingers who never learned to cry enough for anything that mattered. Not enough for the fear, not enough for the loss, not enough for the history, not enough for the disregarded planet, not enough for the grass. Then end in the garden of regret with time's bell tolling grief and pain, grief for the grass that is older than Adam, grief for what is born human, grief for what is not. You should probably never read a Lucille Clifton poem before you're going to read your own poems. Mistake.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. We're going to restart.
This
We're going to
is-
erase the recording and start again.
But that's Lucille Clifton's grief. And I just am so struck by how relevant it always is. That one poem, that one expression. Yeah. So you may keep going, John, or you want to ask me a question?
You're on a roll.
I'm good. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Kim. Yes, Will. I see y'all talking. This audience. Okay. Let me say this. So let me stop for a moment, because this is what I'm saying. I know these names. I've seen these names, and without these people, then my poetry, anyone's poetry, is only it's not as powerful. Like everyone here is critical for helping create the shared reality, because it's not just me saying, oh, Lucille Clifton wrote this poem about grief. Oh, yes, me too. Yes, I get it. It's also Lucille Clifton being seen. And that's the same for all of us. And so I'll go back, like, that's the shared reality. To be seen is to see oneself. And that is transcendent, to be seen. And to be given this permission and this invitation to step into oneself and to trust oneself and to better understand oneself. Because I think I just skipped like 2 pages in my notes, but I've got to say this, like transcendent, because how many times has someone mirrored back to you and you were blown away that you had been seen and appreciated, that you are not alone, that they thanked you for your voice, and that you couldn't even believe you'd said something so brilliant that someone saw it and noted it. I mean, like that is transcendent. And, so I'll foolishly read one of my own poems after I've read one of Lucille Clifton's. So lower your expectations. But because this poem, I just had this experience, and actually Angela Brommel's in the audience, and she's one of the ones I had this experience with. I'm in a workshop group with her, and I shared this poem, and I thought, they're going to hate it. I don't even know. And, but then they mirrored back to me the universality of the experience, and that somehow I have been able to capture it well. And I realized, first loves, first losses. So I thought I'd like to share this one with you. William McNear, middle child in first grade. I'll have a blue Christmas without you, crooned into the Caprice Classic as Daddy steered us like one unit towards First Baptist for the play. Heavy dampness pressed through my costume, bone cold Virginia winters. Sun fell 2 hours ago. Ice crystals disappeared like apparitions as quickly as they struck the windshield. I squeezed my ring tighter around my index finger, spun it until I felt it puncture my skin. Today was the last day of school before Christmas break. I gave William a kiss and a bag of Red Hots. He gave me a promise, my ring. We had it all figured out beneath the monkey bars, get married, have a little girl when we turn 16, like my mama and daddy. perfection this year. I am finally Mary in the Christmas play. I wear blue, hold my baby. I outgrew the cast of angels, dollar store garland halos and white sheets. Crackle broke up Elvis. Family involved in a single car accident. Mr. Garrett McNear appears to have lost control. Only the oldest child survived. Daddy kept driving. Mama kept singing. Sister's halo reflected passing headlights. I inhaled the world and held that year forever in my lungs. So, yeah.
Nice. Oh, getting the handshake.
It's a kind crowd.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
think
kind
Kim
crowd.
just sprained her wrist, I think, with her.
So I wanted to also, so we're talking about shared reality. I think the other thing that poetry does with that is language, because it's not only the cornerstone of poetry, but it is of our realities too, right? So in our cultures, we use language to communicate and articulate our feelings, but also our expectations of one another. Like words carry a lot of heaviness, and sometimes we know how we're wielding it, and sometimes we don't. And so I was thinking a lot about that, and about how we witness to each other through poetry and through language and through relanguaging. And what came to mind was Dawn Lundy Martin, Goodstock Strangeblood, and Araceli Gourmet, the Black Maria. And it's really fascinating what they've done. And you see this in a lot of poetry. But I wanted to share it if I can get it. Let's see. This is not it. But okay, so this is Araceli Gourmet's. It's like a glossary, and you see that she's telling you who we is in this collection, or the Luons, and there's 4 Luons. And so every time, so here's the thing about a collection of poetry that I think is like so powerful, is that every time you read Luon in this, or every time you read Flies, or every time you read We, every time you read The Sea, it takes on more complexity and more depth. And that's the space you get in a collection for relanguaging. And this is Dawn Lundy Martin's. And what she sets up for you in the beginning of Goodstock Strangeblood is who the cast is, right? So it's land and the reflection of land and name. And then she goes and describes all of this for you. And so everything takes on deeper meaning, and we begin to relanguage. And if some language is doing harm, we can then find refuge in that relanguaging, if that makes any sense. This is why I did a flow chart, because I got a headache thinking about all this. But I'll show you too. Like after Dawn Lundy Martin's cast, this is in my new collection, and because I thought a lot about pronouns. And I won't read all of this to you, but I'll share like the I's, right? Because we say I a lot. And I thought, what does that mean? And so the cast of I's in my new collection is this: capitalized I, a singular tower who can be overbearing, may also be rooted in agency and reclamation. When uprooted and turned on her side, watch uppercase I become a bed, a union, a bridge. Lowercase I, plural, without hierarchy, adjacent, vision, sixth chakra. And so we can begin to relanguage and witness that to one another. And I think in that, see, I think in that is a refuge for one another. And so, and I can show you another example of that relanguaging is, and this is also in that collection. I have way too many notes. It's called If Door Means Mirror. And I began to think about what a door is, what it means to walk through something, what a threshold is. If door means mirror, then in the mirror is winter with snow without hue. God of small potatoes heading high into rainy season. Fields grieving their lost squash blossoms. Thunderstorms ticking in a family's strange quiet. In the girls' camp, a tablecloth over a cage. In the door, the way through is between. Find me, leaning loosely, like a hot weather-handled leaf from a branch, an utter threshold joy. And so, offering refuge in transition, because we're always in transition. I think we deeply wish that we would transition out of COVID. But even within it, we're transitioning and we have to find a way to be in joy, or it's just going to consume us and consume our humanity. And so I was thinking about that.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think most people kind of look for refuge on their own, or does there have to be something like COVID that kind of pushes you over a cliff to discover refuge that maybe you haven't? I know I'm asking you a big question. I'm just wondering if people mostly look for refuge, or they need some triggering event to seek refuge. Maybe I'm asking you, to opine on something. Just came to me. That's all.
No, I think it's a great question. And I think it's something I think about a lot. And quite frankly, that's what that poem is about. I think life is painful. I think life is traumatic, which does not mean that I do not love life. I have loved being alive, even in the most painful of times. But I think life is traumatic, and we're always looking for refuge. And and I think for some people, they're very, very painful things. And for some people, it's this scale. And I think not judging where, what those things are, but just recognizing that they're traumatic and painful, that people are doing the best they can. And so I think we're all always looking for refuge, because I think refuge is community and connection. And I think we deeply desire that, because that is then to be seen. That is then to be validated. And that's why I think we write and we art. And so I don't think it requires COVID. I think COVID might have just, COVID made it so that Karen and I were talking about this yesterday. it has made it so that everything is a decision of life and death. Everything is this enormity. Going to the grocery store is like, and then the polarities that we're all on. And so it's just, I think it's been a push, but I think just living is like that. I mean, when I look at all the squares, the squares of people I know, who is most of you, thank you for being here. I know at least some of the traumas that you've experienced and some of the pains and the losses, and that you've looked for refuge, and that many of you have found it in art and poetry and given it. Like Susanna has a new book coming out, and it is I always say it wrong. So Susanna, you'll have to like type it or speak it, because I always want to say damage is done. And I think I get it wrong every time. I make it my own. And it's about, it's so amazing because it is really, I would call it a novel in verse. And as much as it reflects on 60s and 70s and some of the issues, the political issues and things that were happening there, it is equally as reflective of 2020 and 2021, and I have no doubt 2022. Like, do you know what I mean? And I feel like it's just a condition of humanity to look, to witness, and to look for refuge.
Yeah, the damage done. I'm thinking of that Neil Young song. The needle and the damage done. Neil Young is one of my favorites. So I'm just no, it's a great title, and yeah.
Yeah, it is. And can I mention art too?
Yeah, sure. Listen, this is
yes. So I because I do think it's part of. First of all, I think poetry is visual art. Okay, because it matters where every word is on the page. Like, you don't just slap it on there and it works no matter where it is. Like, wherever a word is, it carries different meaning. Like, and so I think that, but then like for me, it is, so when I can share something like this, can y'all see it?
Yep.
Okay. This is, I am autistic, and I do also have a creative mind, and I don't know what impacts me more, but this is how I see Hawk. And so when I can make something like this, and this is out of a poem, but it's in a storybook, a handmade storybook that I made now. And so this is an image, and this is how I see animals. This is how I see wildland creatures, or this is how I see the world. And when I do that and someone says that it's beautiful, or that, oh, I see that too, or I feel comforted by that, and I find a refuge in that. And here's just another example, because I think a lot about Cinderella, and now if I can exit the full screen, at the Cinderella, and I think if, because so many fairy tales we saw, I think about Cinderella a lot. And when I got ready to make an image of her, I didn't want her to be a human, because I wanted to think of her more holistically and not burdened by any human characteristics. And so I thought of her as a Labrador. And that opened up how I got to see things. And when people are willing to go on that journey with me, it's a refuge. It's a refuge for my spirit, to have that shelter, to feel safe. So, because here's another one I love. Door in the Mountain, Jean Valentine. Oh, what? And so okay, so here's the other way, like not just when I'm writing or creating, but like, and so we had Lucille Clifton, but then there was this, because I'm like thinking, who writes like me? Like who's thinking like I'm thinking? Like where are my people, sometimes. And then I read this, Door in the Mountain by Jean Valentine. Never ran this hard through the valley, never ate so many stars. I was carrying a dead deer tied onto my neck and shoulders, deer legs hanging in front of me, heavy on my chest. People are not wanting to let me in. Door in the mountain, let me in. I mean, to me, that's her asking for refuge, asking to be witnessed, asking for that. And all the while she's asking for that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just found all that in that poem. And then the crazy thing is, like C.D. Wright, who is another of my favorites, because her work is really different. She has Jean Valentine abridged. It's an essay of sorts. C.D. Wright uses that loosely. and it's to Jean Valentine. And it's one of the last lines in it is a poet who brandishes her strange and irreducible lines like an antenna broken off of a radio, like a caduceus. And if you're like me, you don't know what a caduceus is, but y'all might all know. You're all very smart. But it's an ancient Greek or Roman herald's wand, typically with the two serpents turned around it. You know that image. A representation of this traditionally associated with healing. And I thought, what? Because that's refuge, right? Like that's healing. And here's the thing. All three of these poets are not here in the flesh with us anymore. But their refuge, their witnessing offers a refuge that lives on for us. And I just think that's an exceptional gift. So, okay. John, do you have another question?
I'm just writing down little notes and book titles, and yeah, I think is there, once again, your artistic expressions, your I feel like you're going to jump out of the screen, which is great. We need some of that after Zooming for 2 years. I don't know. We're coming up on, I don't know what year we are at COVID. I feel like we're in the COVID decade and we're only in year 3 or something. I don't know. But I love your passion, your expression. And, is there a poem, maybe one of your poems that you kind of go to in this time? I keep going back time to time to Mary Oliver's The Journey. When I read that poem, I want to get up out of my chair, go out on the street, and basically change the world. I'm hoping there's no traffic on the street, but part of it is that it's just a poem that I go to that just launches me. And I didn't know if COVID is not maybe the launch time, but is there a poem you go to that kind of reignites your passion, your creativity? Something that you've written. Once again, I'm obviously I'm putting you on the spot again, but is there a favorite thing you go to that kind of reignites the flame?
Of my own or of someone else's?
I mean, if
Okay.
it's your own, it could be someone else's. I think part of it is, I think
Mm,
part of just hearing people is, where do people find inspiration? And
yeah. Well, I think I read you two of my favorite ones
Yeah.
already. And I think, okay, I'm going to flip this question. Not surprising. So this is what I'm going to say. The people here today who are kind enough to share their time and come, they are my inspiration. So each of these people I have a literary relationship with. So some of these people I meet with in Floyd at the Floyd Library, and they have Christine Carter. They have inspired me. They have held me accountable to learn more and to go deeper and to read more deeply. April Asbury and Kim Ports Parsons, Will Rieger and I trade and collaborate. Angela Brommel, Joanne James, Kathy Haley, Ellen Devlin and I, we had a workshop together like 2 years ago and are still in touch. Susanna and shares her work with me. I get to read it and review it. She mirrors back to me, right? She read Every Girl and did a blurb for me and mirrored back to me what she read, and it lifted me up. Karen Stewart, like these people, they're who I go to, and they're my inspiration, my community. And that's, I think, in my flow chart.
Yeah.
That's how it circles back around. So, and I do see everyone's comments over here, and I just wanted to note them that I'm not ignoring them, and I love it. My copy of Doors all marked up. Yeah. Christine, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I had a question for you. Can you hear me okay? I don't know if I unmuted myself.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to say how much I love your collages. And I don't consider myself an artist, but I know with the COVID, I couldn't, for several years, I just couldn't write except for little ditties, more photography like that was, and it's just really beautiful seeing your artwork. And I was just curious if you submit your collage work with your poems when you submit, because I think they're just beautiful together. Anyway, that was the question.
Thank you for witnessing. Thank you. See what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. I want to, and I am starting to do more of that. Like some of my collages have been published, but more and more I'm starting to step into that art component of it, because for me, I think it's really, really critical to communicate fully what I'm trying to say. And I really I'm extremely grateful that you noticed that, and that you're willing to raise your hand, and that you're willing to speak and say something. And it tells me, no, you are on the right track, Angie. You should do this. And you make a shelter for me. And I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
So what's another poem that maybe not inspires you, but guides you? You know, and I love what Kristen said about, finding a new medium for your expression when one other medium is maybe running a little bit dry. But what's something that guides you, that not necessarily inspires, but you're kind of roaming around and you're reading this poem, and once again, it could be your own work or someone else, that kind of, wow, now I can put a map together after reading this poem.
So I'm debating on what to do right now.
Of course, I should have asked you all these questions on Monday.
You think?
No,
I plan on writing you a letter about that, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, Susanna, I left the big questions on the side. I didn't want her to I want her to feel comfortable that no. Part of it is these questions are coming up out of this conversation right now. I don't have anything written down. I mean, I have the intro I wrote 6 months ago, but this is all coming up with, what you're sharing.
Okay. Here's what I'd like to share. And also, the other person who is here today is my sister, Sarah Young, and she's my biggest fan. And when she sees my artwork, she says, "You're going to be selling this, right? It's worth it. People will buy it. Come on." And I just wanted to give her a shout out too. But this poem is one that stays in my mind a lot, and it's a Chintos, but it's so it's a collection of Marianne Moore, Joanne Bales, and Gertrude Stein, and it's from their ekphrastic works. And it's because I think about ekphrasis a lot. And I think about what an opportunity it is for witnessing in Refuge, like it's totally relevant. But to be aware of our lens through which we're looking and decide if that's the lens we want to look through or what that means. And so these are all their lines woven together. Unfixed authority. The sash is not likely anything mustard. Upon embroideries, a knot torn rosewood, dirt, and copper. The question does not come before the quotation. There is a strange fraternity, a nation's fancy whimsically told small. Sapphire burning the heart's pastime. What may last? Out of kindness comes redness, out of rudeness comes rapid. These sea lions and land lions, land unicorns and sea unicorns, a single hurt color. Light blue and the same red with purple make a change. The one way to see makes the shape not so heavy, makes mercy an established color, a restitution. Carved progress leads the wandering eye. Golden pheasant holds his gorgeous state round the potter's wheel. A system is not at all necessary. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Christine and Kim. Thank you. I know you do, Susanna. You're my inspiration for them. You're Jimi Hendrix one. So there you go, John. There's another, I think everything I've read from people here has inspired me to write and to have something to say. Yeah. Right. I love that line. I love that line, Kim. Yeah. So I can keep talking, John, or if you've written down a question that you want to put me on the spot and ask me.
Well, one of my favorite things is we have to be done by midnight. So I think you've got about 11 hours and 15 minutes. No. No, listen, this is a time for you to just, a part of this for the people listening is really for the poet to have the freedom to go in different directions. We launch from the themes, but then it goes where it goes. Mm-hmm. And so, Angela, wherever you want to go, within reason, obviously. Susanna will guide us and keep us in track. So
okay. So I had this other thought when I was doing this. And all right, so it happened because I graduated just last week, and I tell people I'm celebrating right up until the student loans come due, and then there will be no more. And so, but it was so strange because of what people mirrored back to me that they heard. So when you graduate, you all get to have a reading and be at the front of the room and be heard. And it's really amazing. And Randolph is a tremendous community. Like it really is. Like the faculty is exceptional, very open, and but the student body, they just embrace you. Like they're just, it's really. My husband is an accountant, and he went to the graduation, and he was like, I know, John, he's in your field. And he said, I've never been to a graduation like this. It's a celebration, you know? I mean, where's I going with this? Oh, yeah. And so I did not realize how much I talk about butter in my poetry. And I mean, for a week after my reading, everybody was like, you and butter, you should name your collection Butter. I love it when you say butter. And I was like, I really say butter a lot. And so it was really interesting to read. But the other thing that someone said that I just really, I will always hold in my heart. And Susanna and I have talked about this, about accents. Nice, Kim. And how sometimes I remember this actually, John, the first time I was going to be on the show, and I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to be in a show in Massachusetts, and I talk like this. How is this going to go? You know? And I was like, I need to get something really smart together to say, because I sound like this. But it was fine. But after I read at the graduation, someone walked up to me and they said, you know, I think it was really great to hear a voice like yours in a setting like this, you know, in a graduate program, to hear somebody with your accent come and speak about where you're from. Because I guess I do. A lot of my poems, even when I don't realize it, they're about where I'm from. And this was, I'll read one of those poems if I can find it, that I think they were specifically referring to. Appalachian Studies, Tuition and Fees. I wrestle poems in Poetry Magazine with assistance of Rosetta Stone, Webster's, Google, my 8th grade Latin class. But when I take on vocabulary like biuteratius, pulchritudinous nephros, meaning soft petal blooms perched atop my kidneys, workshoppers shake their heads. Doesn't belong, doesn't sound like you. I'm not afforded syllabic lovers, my accent reeking of scold, diesel, and butter. My inherited tongue carved of maple and sumac dripping, and Old Testament tones and fiddles, my gerund embrace. I don't give a damn what you call that lonely line. If it feels, it don't need to be named, c'est jure. Tell me the lyricism is not there. Tell me the line is daft. But don't you dare think it's yours to dictate what language can make its home in my hot mouth. So, yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting to hear that my voice was important, and not just to people who sound like me, but it's important in a broader conversation. Like all of our voices are, I think.
Langent, you'll laugh. I grew up outside Boston, Mass, and then moved to Chicago, Cincinnati, and I was away 37 years until we moved back to Massachusetts. When I came back, I couldn't understand half of what the people were saying. You know, park your car on Harvard Yard. I was like, what? What are they doing? What the? So yeah, it's amazing. You grow up with an accent, then you come back, it's like, why are they talking like that? So all good stuff.
Yeah. So I just wanted to take a minute.
Yeah, we have about 10 more minutes. So, if there's a poem or two you'd like to read.
Okay.
Once again, I want to encourage people, if you want to be on the list to be notified when we're going to have our next poetry event, which is next Thursday, and future events, put your email in the chat and I'll grab it and put you on the list. So.
And I encourage everyone to also check out the YouTube channel, because the videos of people speaking at Stockbridge are on that, and the shows are good. They're really good. Holly Iglesias is that show. That was one of the ones that made me really start thinking about language, because she was talking about the duality of language that she lives in, and her writing in it. And so anyway, that was a plug for the YouTube channel. And speaking of communities, Joanne James knows about this one, and Kim Ports Parsons is a big part of Cultivating Voices Live. And so Kim, if you would put something about that maybe in the chat, it's Sunday afternoons at 3 p.m. Eastern. And it's a really, really authentic community with a lot of connection, and it provides a lot of refuge, and there's a lot of equity in it, I think. And so I definitely suggest checking that out too. So I think I have time to read. I think I'll read two more, and if I have time, and I think like one of them is kind of that relanguaging idea, and so it's a little more abstract, and then I'll finish with one that's really about where I come from. Merriam-Webster. Girl means tender. Tender means possibility. If door means mirror, then what does it mean to dream in a room with a door? When through that door, mirror, marches the hurt, a cavalcade of transgressions, while I distract myself with nimble dreams like poems beyond white space, like capitalistic bait unsupped by the tink trash fish, like non-gender, like canvas unadorned. This is power enunciated. If there is no her, no him, then there is no weapon. H, having. E, everything. R, revealed. Breast, do that. Porous vagina does that. There is no door. There is only a mirror. There is only transition. If I let loose her, does my long hair, thighs like summer falls pooling slick, can I still get set down? I want to sit down and make the possibility to be unfettered, to be tender, but not girl, not just girl, not pronoun who carries reason that takes the place of what came before the seed, what came before the seed. The seed, flower, even before it sprouts, let alone blooms. And this is, where I come from, there is a lot of, there's a lot of emphasis on gender. In fact, I think that's a lot. I think that's, I can't say most places because I'm not familiar with most places, but I can say many places. I mean, gender, what a thing. And so there's a lot of emphasis put on it, and there's a lot of emphasis put on bringing genders together. and on the power in that, particularly as a woman, you know. And so this poem is about that. Spellbound. Where I'm from, we're taught young the catch patterns of a man. Bake the blood of our moons into their supper. It's his tongue sets off the trap pan, warm and wet and searching, ever hungry. Yet still a woman must be clever. Careful, Canis iatrans. Don't turn the flame too high. Tend towards maceration. Fennel, carrot, and leek lure the lagomorph. A man unsnared is quick to dodge the ambush of root aromatics. Cherry, coyote woman. We are bound to the spells we cast. 2 hind legs, 1 coyote, 1 hare, caught in my own coil spring. So, I want to not run out of time, and I want to thank each one of you for being here, and I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot to me that you cared enough to come and to share this time. And yeah, I don't know if anyone has any questions or anything. We've got just a few minutes or a few. Okay.
I think we're spellbound. We're trying to
Yeah.
absorb it all through osmosis. We're reacting chemically to the. No, really great. Really just. Yep.
Ellen, I see you unmuted.
Angela, I'm not supposed to get lost for words, but I am. And I found your work just stunning, and I can't wait to sit with it in my hand so I can really read it and take it in. But I want to tell you quickly, in front of everybody, I've been stuck on, you know, when you get a poem that you work and you just know it's important, you got to get this one right. You actually just dropped the answer in my pen. As well as I can understand that concept of relanguaging, and I mean to keep studying it, this will be on YouTube, right? I could watch 100 times.
Yep.
Okay. I can't thank you enough. It was like, you know, you have those angels that just say, okay, I'll fix that for you. Go on to Angela's speak today and you'll get it. Thank you. Thank you,
Ellen. You have to email me the poem. Share it with me.
I will.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, Angela, you answered all the tough questions that I never knew that I had. And no, I just appreciate your energy and enthusiasm. I'm like, I don't know, I'm like revved up. Now I got to go up and cut up stuff for dinner. But if I wasn't doing that, I'd probably like be running down the street screaming, poetry.
You know,
I have to post up stuff on LinkedIn with Happy Poetry New Year to get people, excited about this or interested. So.
And I think we owe John like a really big round of applause, because he does this. Like he has other jobs, like he's got a lot on his plate, and he does this. Like, what a literary steward, what a friend. And we just thank you, John.
No,
Thank you.
Thanks, yeah, I'm the acting CFO of a $60 million nonprofit. So yeah, poetry is my side job. Well, listen, it's right just about 1 o'clock. So I'm going to end the recording. Thank everyone. This has been really a tremendous hour. And Angela, thanks again. I've got people's names, so I'll put you into our list. And wow, that's all I have to say. I have a huge smile on my face. It will probably last for several weeks now. So Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have
All
a
right.
great day.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. Okay, where's let's see. Want to make sure I capture all these little notes. Yep. Yep. Okay. Hold on. Okay.